All right. Well, the Saints lose, but there's some good things. There's some bad things to take away from this loss to the Houston Texans. Welcome to Saints Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Trace Girouard. I'm going to be giving you some winners and some losers from the 17-13 defeat that the Texans just gave to New Orleans in the preseason week 3. So the Saints were had the opportunity to go undefeated for the first time in franchise history had they won today, but they will not. And they are currently, actually, fun fact, the only team in the NFL that has not won every single game in the preseason. They are the only team that is undefeated, or that hasn't gone undefeated, which is pretty interesting. But Jake Haener, just like Fetty Wap, going 17 for 38, 172 yards, 2 interceptions late in the game, which were both pretty crucial times. Not what you want to see from a rookie, not what you want to see from a guy like Jake Haener, but nonetheless, there's still time to develop for him. Ellis Merriweather led the team in rushing, 8 carries for 32 yards. Lucas Krull, 7 receptions, 106 yards. He had a big game today, and I'm going to talk a lot about him. E.J. Perry kind of diced it up for the Texans, 7 for 12, 58 yards. He wasn't really that effective, but he was able to deliver some effective and some decent passes throughout the game. Mike Boone, 7 carries, 51 yards, and a touchdown. Xavier Hutchinson lighting it up, 4 receptions, 48 yards. C.J. Stroud did start the game. He went 2 for 4, 16 yards, had a touchdown. But at the end of the day, Saints come out of the game with an L. And guys, if you haven't already, subscribe today, lock us in, and help us get to 17,000 subscribers. We're going to be going all throughout the roster cuts that are about to go over the next few days. We're going to be all over all of those. I'm going to get my 53-man roster projection here for you guys tomorrow. But we have live shows, news, rumors, interactive content. I'm a diehard Saints fan. My voice is hoarse. I got bags under my eyes. But damn it, I'm still going to give you some content. So if that's not reason enough, I encourage you to subscribe, lock us in, and get your Saints news and coverage today. All right, so let's go through the winners and losers. The tight end specifically. Want to give a huge shout out to Lucas Krull. Like I said earlier, 15 receptions, 15 targets, 7 receptions, and 106 yards. And man, he's a UDFA, has a lot to prove, huge uphill battle. But I can tell you right now, if the Saints put him on the practice squad, which I believe they will, he could be a guy that gets picked up by another team. But I want to give a big old shout out to Jimmy Graham. Man, it would have been cool to see him do the spike. It would have been cool to see him do the touchdown spike just like it was back in 2013. Would have gotten to see vintage Jimmy, but we did get to see vintage Jimmy. 3 receptions, 34 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 big contested catch, went up for it, came down with it. Great catch to get the Saints into scoring position, and then he finishes off the drive with a 4-yard reception, throwing the ball, absolutely just changes his body, contorts his body really well, contested catch, does exactly what he does. Jimmy Graham is my biggest winner of the day. Shout out Lucas Krull as well, but those 2 tight ends are my biggest winners. So who's your biggest winner? And I'm not saying that they're the 2 best ones, but man, they were impressive. They looked great. They made noise when they needed to. Shout out to them. But Saints fans, get in the comment section. This will be the pinned comment. So if you get hit with a YouTube ad break here, scroll on down, take advantage of it, and share your thoughts. All right, next winner, Kendre Miller. He had 8 carries, 32 yards. He also had 3 receptions for 10 yards. We did get to see Miller used a little bit more in the passing game. We saw him used on the screen. Winston did hit Miller a few times. And I really liked seeing him get involved in the passing game because, as we know, the Saints have been working on that with him. We need a pass-catching back to be able to take over and help out while Alvin Kamara is suspended. Miller getting in that work, looking good, continues to show that he is a serviceable running back, not just on the ground, but also through the air. What more could you want out of him? Bryan Bresee, though. Dude, he's so big. He's so talented. Let me tell you something, fellas. Unlike my laundry, he put some people through the spin cycle. I have a tough time doing laundry. But Bryan Bresee, I swear we might have to call him the laundromat because he's just threw the most beautiful spin move that I've ever seen. One of the most beautiful, at least, that I've ever seen on Kenyon Green. First-round draft pick out of A&M. by the Texans last year. It was incredible watching him make that move. He had a nice little club move as well. His pass rushing has been astounding. And it seems like he's getting better every single rep, every single week. And that is one of the biggest things that I wanted to see out of Bryan Bresee throughout the preseason. He might be one of my biggest winners as well for the week. But, man, I have loved what I've seen out of Bryan Bresee. Show him some love in the comment section and type 90. Bryan Bresee, keep on keeping on. Had a really cool sack with Isaiah Foskey as well. You got first and second round pick coming in, giggity, getting the tackle on Davis Mills or on CJ Stroud, excuse me. That was the photo we showed. It was just cool to see those two players get that really big play and a really big moment for the Saints. In life, there's winners and there's losers. And Jake Haener has been a big-time winner throughout the preseason and a big-time winner throughout the training camp and rookie minicamp and everything. Man, he was a loser today. He struggled big time. 17 for 38. Shout out Trap Queen. 172 yards, 2 interceptions. Those 2 interceptions, like I said earlier, came late. One of them in the final seconds of the game. Tried to force a couple plays. Both interceptions, I think you could have, one, you could have you waited for the end zone to go and you could have waited to push the field down to the end zone and go and hit your check down, take down some yardage, chew up some clock, move the ball downfield, set yourself up to go and score some more points. It was about 4.5 minutes, I believe, left in the fourth quarter. I don't think that it made sense for Jake Haener to force some of those throws that he did. However, he's still a rookie. He's a third-string quarterback. Winston continues to look good. So, at the end of the day, he's a development guy. You don't have to worry about it, and that's okay. Run defense, though, struggled like some sons of guns. The Texans had 131 rushing yards today, and the Saints only had 91. And the Saints' front four was doing a really good job of getting tackles behind the line of scrimmage, getting tackles, on big or in big moments when they needed to. They got stops when they needed to on a handful of drives. However, they did a really bad job of letting the Texans running game just be pretty lethal. Mike Boone, 7 carries of 51 yards and a touchdown. Larry Roundtree, 10 carries for 31 yards. Damian Pierce, 5 carries for 30 yards. And then Devin Singletary, 7 carries for 22 yards, excuse me. At the end of the day, you only had to give up, 131 yards on a handful of carries. That's not terrible, but at the end of the day, 31 attempts, 4.2 yards per carry. You want to see that number drop down a little bit. So I want to see the run defense play a little bit better. But again, these are the backups. These are the depth guys. So clean it up. Let's get those guys perform a little bit better, and we should see some better things. Blake Grupe is also a loser today for me. I want to see Blake Grupe make this roster. I really think that he's a player that can make a lot of noise. The Saints have an interesting thing to do here. So Grupe today, he was 2 for 3. He made 1 from 50. He had an attempt at 60 yards. Dennis Allen said, go. Just go. Let's see what the kid can do. And let me tell you this. He could have made that if it was from 62 to 63, maybe even 64 yards. He had the leg and then some. We pushed it a little bit to the right. The accuracy was a little bit off. But Will Lutz, his long last year was 60. So you're seeing this guy do this as a rookie. I think that this is a really tough decision for Dennis Allen to make. Wouldn't be surprised if the Saints take some trade calls for Will Lutz. But, guys, pick a kicker for me. Type W for Will Lutz. Type BG for Blake Grupe. I'm not going to lie. It's a tough call. They've both been pretty good in the preseason. They've both been really good in training camp. It's going to be a tough one for me. I kind of think I want to go Blake Grupe because maybe you can trade Will Lutz to a team like the Broncos or the Titans or somebody who needs a kicker. But, guys, some final thoughts real quick for me before we get on out of here. I think that Jimmy Graham, like I said, did a great job to absolutely climb the ladder, moss a player, get in the red zone, and then capped it off for a contested catch. He is still Jimmy Graham. Jaylon Smith, he was a great pickup for the Saints in free agency, showed his sideline-to-sideline speed. He is going to be a big-time contributor on the defense, in my opinion. Jake Haener, he did have a nice 26-yard carry, turned on the boosters. He moved around the pocket really well, tucked it and ran when he needed to. So I still think that there's things to grow. There's still things to learn for Haener. Jontre Kirkland, 5 receptions for 63 yards. He's a player I don't think that will make the roster, but will definitely be a practice squad guy. I could see him being elevated to the active roster if there's injury issues. Shaq Davis, 2 receptions, 18 yards. He's a player I would love to see make the final 53-man roster. Ellis Merriweather, you got to see him play a little bit better. Nephi Sewell, he looked really good, 7 total tackles. Jaylon Smith, like I said, stood out. DeMarco Jackson, Nick Anderson also led the team in defensive stats today. But Saints fans, thank you guys for hanging out with me. If you guys want to interact with me on Twitter at Trace Girouard 48, hit me up, give me a follow. I'll give you guys a follow back if you DM me winners and losers from this video. So guys, hit me up. Shout out to y'all and stay golden. We'll see you next time.